AskReddit by Echelons. What are the quiet luxury brands that only the super rich know about? An Italian friend arranged a visit to a Murano glass gallery. After the general public cleared out of the public showroom, the gallery's people took us up some stairs to the real deal gallery with shelves full of breathtaking art pieces. We admired one vase on a shelf, but were told that it would never be offered for sale. It was too important as part of the island's legacy and heritage. I think that the way we zeroed in on it somehow convinced them that we were top art dealers in stealth mode. For the rest of the afternoon, we were treated like VIPs. What a day that was. I have almost never felt jealous of anyone, ever, until this moment. My heart flares with longing to see this exceptional glass, and anxious sorrow at the thought that if I were present, I would not have been included in that section of the tour. I hope you enjoyed every piece. Luxe. For people who can buy a mattress that costs as much as a car. I went with my wife mattress shopping. Luxe has a shop in my town, so we went. They have less expensive beds, but the minute you lay down on their most premium bed, the first thing that came to mind for both of us was, well, I can see why this is worth $10k. And that was like 10 years ago. I tell you all, this bed was astoundingly comfortable and also modular and could have old bits replaced without buying a full mattress again. So, if you think about it this way, that the bed would last 20 plus years, and with only nominal maintenance, it is kind of a great value, but the upfront costs are high. Also, I read there's an Luxe store which is actually also a bed and breakfast where you can stay in a nice room on the nice bed and decide if you think it's worth the money. I love this idea. I had a rich friend once tell me that Gucci is what poor people think rich people wear. Since then I noticed that all of her clothes fit perfect, but she never has logos on anything. Gucci is what famous people wear when they get paid to wear Gucci. Tailors on Savile Row. Wealthy people get their clothes custom made. I remember watching a news video of Prince William talking with locals in a hospital. The conversation turned to how the prince's son, Prince George, was doing. Prince William was talking about how he's growing so fast and they constantly have to get his clothes tailored, as if the local guy is supposed to relate to that lol. Tailored clothes for a 4-year-old, at the time. John Lobb bootmaker in St. James. Make beautiful handmade shoes for royalty, celebrities and rich types. They are well known but not a household name. I found a pair of JL riding boots for $300. They retail for $10k. Was with a friend at an equine consignment shop. Saw these boots on the shelf and the leather looked like good quality, so I touched them. Wow. The quality of the leather is astounding. Pulled them off the shelf and saw the royal warrant. They fit my friend and she bought them. When we went to pay, the shopkeeper admitted those boots slipped by them. My friend contacted JL and they told her the custom boots trees had been made for them, but were not with the boots. I believe the custom boot trees were another $3k. I tell her we have to share custody of them. I'm still riding the high of the $4.99 rotisserie chicken I bought at Costco, so I think in my head out before I get depressed. I'm right there with you. I reheated some frozen green beans and fried up my last egg for dinner. Now I'm scrolling through these comments wondering how the world got to be the way it is. Seems like we're fucked. Oh well. At least I had an egg. When I met my wife, she worked selling high-end watches. Talking about it on our first date, I said, oh, like Rolex and stuff. She said Rolex customers are just new money, drug dealers and old men. If people contact us wanting one, we just direct them to watch shop. Then rattled off a list of about 10 makers I'd never heard of which her international clients would fly here just to try on. I was wearing a Luminox at the time, which I thought was pretty badass, but all of a sudden I felt like a kid running around with that gadget from Ben 10. Allunge & Sutton, Vacheron Constantin, AP, Patek Philippe, JLC, Frank Muller, IWC, Breguet, FP Journe. I used to be of the opinion that really wealthy people wore stuff that you wouldn't really notice, But disappointingly, having spent some time around folks with extreme wealth recently, the true answer is just, whatever the hell they like. If someone really liked branded gear before they were wealthy, you'd better believe they're going to be dressed like our Luigi once they make it big. I used to work for a dude worth hundreds of millions who wore square toe slip-on dress shoes with rubber soles. Probably got them at JCPenney or Target. He just didn't give a shit about shoes. Holland & Holland hunting rifles and shotguns. Handmade and custom fitted guns. Prices are on the luxury car level. One of my good friends when I was growing up lost his uncle to cancer about a decade ago. This guy was a bit of a gun nut and went on hunting trips all over the world. Well, while my friend and his relatives were cleaning out this guy's house, they found a double-barrel shotgun in a leather case. They didn't think anything of it and sold it for a few $100. They found out later that it wasn't a double-barrel shotgun, but a double-barrel rifle, and that double rifle was made by Holland & Holland. Turns out my friend's uncle went on a hunt down in Africa and ended up making friends with a very wealthy individual while he was there. The double rifle ended up being a gift. My friend's family are still pissed to this day about selling that thing for a few $100. My mom is a seamstress, and she has some very wealthy clients who pay thousands of dollars for items just to have her turn them into something else. She has turned a couture dress into pot holders because a client wanted the print hanging in her kitchen for a party she was hosting. What the fuck, lol. Jeff Goldblum was on the Conan podcast and talked about where he got his jeans. It was from this hard to find shop in New York that not many people had heard of. Come to find out, not surprisingly, their jeans are insanely expensive and only the very rich could afford them. Jeff mentioned Schieffer's Garment Hotel in LA, and they are about $400, $600 per pair. Nice try. Pause. It's so cute, they are acting just like people. Camels. They are one of the best super yacht manufacturers in the world with over 100 years of experience. As someone who works there, thank you for naming us. Zuber and Amp, crazy expensive wallpaper and room dividers panels. I love old Rococo and Baroque things, so happy to walk by their store in New York City. Stopped in due to the patterns and quickly realized I do in fact not have thousands of dollars per FT for wallpaper. For example, $5,000, $30,000 per panel. Almost all of the well-known luxury brands have several lines. The ones with logos all over them are typically the cheapest. I'm looking at LV, Gucci, etc., which is why they are so common. The same companies will have more exclusive lines that are much more expensive, usually more classic in style, and they're not covered in logos, so you'd never know what brand they are unless you're really into that kind of thing. For example, my wife wanted to buy me a nice wallet, so we went to the LV shop. I liked one that had no logo on the exterior of it, just simple grey leather, and it cost twice as much as the ones with LV stamped all over them. It's like choosing the ad-free vs ad-supported version of luxury items. While not adhering to the quiet part of the question, I'll submit home stereo speakers. A set of transmission audio speakers goes for $1,200,000. I wonder when quiet luxury ends and outrageous opportunism starts. Holland & Holland, $1K for a hat, $10K smoking jacket and $500K for a shotgun, though the carve your dogs and manor in the side of it. I wonder how it feels to miss the target with a $500,000 shotgun. Fret for bedding and towels. All the wealthy folks I know fall into one of two categories. They either jaff about bed sheets and therefore buy whatever their decorator suggested, whatever is easiest to get delivered in the right color, whatever is on the sale rack, or they give many fucks and buy something very specific, vintage linens, one particular small producer that does all their production in-house, custom sizes to fit antique beds, etc. I feel like Fret falls right in the middle of those two options, so it's mostly seen in hotels and as aspirational buys. Used to live in Irvine, which is next door to Newport Beach, one of the wealthiest zip codes in SoCal. The thrift shops and storage auctions had some really high-end stuff. Bought a storage unit for $120 once and it had a ton of Tom Ford, Brunello Cucinelli, The Row. Sold them online for nearly $20k total, keeping a few Tom Ford shirts and a Brioni suit that I got tailored. Wow. You scored big time. Kaleidoscope home movie servers. Started in the heyday of DVD and Blu-ray before streaming. Even had a proprietary DVD ripper that could do 100 at a time like the record players of old. Their software even matched the movie to the data so it looked like you were scrolling Netflix long before it was a thing. Source: Amavtech, who serviced ultra-rich home theaters. After a certain income point, basically everything becomes custom for the client. It's not about brands, it's about artisans crafting things to a person's needs and tastes. Bookmarking for when I'm super rich. Same. I just watched The Secret, so I'm pretty much already there. Thanks for the job search material, OP. Live around and work with the 1% of the 1% for a few years now. Lots of good ones in here, but haven't seen Gabriella Hearst and Amp, Belgian shoes mentioned. Those are the first to come to mind. It's not just about luxury brands because they all buy any designer you can think of. It's other aspects of their lifestyle that is unimaginable and far more inaccessible, like for example, secret restaurants only they can go to and you have to be invited to. Or how much they spend on bedding. Or how they send their 2 dogs on a private jet from LA to Nick because they miss them. How would Porschleps on Reddit know of super rich brands? Because we mop the floors where these things are made. I don't know if this is quiet or I'm just extra poor, but Loewe is apparently a thing. I saw an ad that they'd be doing a special launch with Howl's moving castle inspired fashions, so I signed up for alerts, thinking I'd buy something when it was released. Shocked to receive a notification for like $11k jackets. I go to Loewe's all the time. Great garden supplies. Good cashmere. Can't state a specific brand, but good cashmere is something that is a pretty penny, that is 100% worth it. I've been buying merino recently, because I think I'm rich or something. But if you want premium wool, alpaca wool and yak wool are pricier better. If you really want the most exclusive wool, you're into Vicuna, which costs $300 per ounce of yarn. It's like 20x more expensive than cashmere. A Vicuna suit costs up to $30,000. Target. Picking up from Jean-Claude Penny. Muga 2. So hot right now. Laura Piana is an example, but I was wondering what other brands like this are out there. I mean, their cable knit dress is only like $11k. What's so rich about that? Doesn't everybody pay that for a sweater dress? Great puppin. But of course. I was a RHS student studying kendo in Japan in the early 2000s. Anyways, at the end my instructor gifted my annoying teenage self the watch he wore when out of class. It was a simple watch with a leather strap, onyx face, and fluid Swiss movement. Wore it to school when I was back home and a teacher stopped to chat. I brought up the watch and his eyes went wide. He simply said, "You have a real heirloom there. Keep it clean." It was an IWC. Edit. Until then I thought Rolex was the most expensive brand of watch. I would honestly be afraid to ever wear that. Gildan shirts for sure. Heavyweights from the shelf at Michael's. I have a close relative that probably isn't a billionaire, but he is definitely a high double-figure millionaire. He wears custom Levi and custom-made red t-shirts. He usually switches shirt colors every year or so to match his newest favorite car. Red matches his new Corvette. I know, Corvettes aren't for rich people, blah, blah, Blah. He's 85 and has always had Corvettes, along with about 50 other cars. I just did that, but it's a Subaru lol. Zena, their jackets go for 10k 30k USD and have no visible logo. All of their items are extremely expensive but rarely do they show their logos. They only do it discreetly on their cheaper items I believe. I have a leather jacket from them my grandfather bought 40 years ago and it is the best leather jacket I've ever seen. I got 2 Zena suit jackets at a thrift store for $70 total knowing at 22 that it was a deal. Wore those things for 15 years getting compliments every single time. Love Zena. The store in London Simon Cowell goes to once a year to buy 100 sweaters. Where does he go for his facelifts BC? I wanna make sure to never go there. I had a boss who flew in a jeweler from New York so his wife and daughter could shop. Same guy who said he couldn't afford to give us woefully underpaid staff raises then call everyone out to see the new top of the line BMW he just bought. They aren't rich in spite of exploration of the poor, they are rich because of exploitation. Everything they wear on Succession. I love one of the early scenes where he tells the new kid to go grab a pair of Crockett and Amp Jones Capto Oxfords. They are not stupendously expensive, but they are one of the best English brands for traditional ready-to-wear shoes. They'll run $700 $1,200 depending on leather type and a few other details. A. Lange & Sutton watches. FP Journe watches are on another level of luxury and exclusivity. If you ever see one you can be sure someone is doing extreme well in life. La Cornue and Aga high-end ranges, rotisseries, and other kitchen items. Aga has been well known in the UK for decades. Personally I can't see the appeal of them unless you live in the country, don't have mains gas, so use heating oil and want your stove on all of the time, as it doubles up as your heating boiler. DuPont, as in the $1,500 lighters. Succession kinda spoiled it but Loro Piana. Kirkland. Romane Conti $10k bottles of wine that you've never heard of. Nice try. I'm not giving up the identity of my luxury brand toilet paper. It's made of gold leaf and soil and poor people. If you really want anything high quality, you have to have someone make it for you. I mean anything. Mass manufacturing is getting surprisingly good when you buy high-end products, but even the best production unit cannot match the quality of custom handmade things. This goes for everything. From furniture to cars and motorcycles, clothing, machine equipment, houses, computers, really anything. And I think everyone knows this, even if they don't necessarily realize it. If you want the best car in the world, you could buy a McLaren. But then what if you take that McLaren to Hennessy Motorsports and have them overhaul it? Then what if you take it to an equally prestigious custom detailer? Well, now you have something leagues better than anyone else's. You could go to a high-end furniture store for a new kitchen table. But what if you go to a logging company and buy a whole tree of some rare hardwood, and take that to an absolute artist of fine carpentry? You see what I'm getting at? If you really want high quality luxury goods, you don't care about brands, you need to find artists and craftsmen, and commission custom works from them.